You've heard it a million times, right? It's practically gospel, passed down from our parents and grandparents. Renting is just throwing money away. But I'm going to argue that this single piece of financial wisdom has probably done more damage and pushed more people into debt than almost any other. Because what if I told you that in the economy we're living in right now, that old saying isn't just a little outdated, it's actively, incredibly dangerous. Believing it, acting on it could be the fastest way to financial ruin. So let's start with section 1, the great home ownership lie. We're going to break down exactly why buying a house in today's market might not be the brilliant wealth-building move you've been told it is. We're all taught that renting is like setting cash on fire, but the hidden truth is buying can be a much, much bigger trap. The numbers, when you actually look at them, are just staggering. For a new home buyer today, almost half, we're talking up to 50% of their entire median income is immediately eaten up by housing costs. Just think about that. It means most new homeowners are basically broke from the moment they get the keys. And this requires a really powerful shift in how you think about it. See, when that much of your money is going to service a debt, you're not really an owner in the true sense of the word. You're a tenant. And your landlord, it's the bank. Your mortgage is the big pipe draining your wallet, sure. But then you've got all these other leaks, taxes, insurance, repairs that are constantly bleeding you dry. And these leaks, these are the 3 horsemen of homeownership that nobody really talks about in the sales pitch. You've got property taxes that never go down. You've got insurance premiums that are climbing way faster than inflation. And then you have the constant, nagging, unpredictable cost of things just breaking. So here's the absolute core of the argument. Let's say your total cost to own, that's the mortgage, taxes, insurance, everything, comes out to $4,000 a month. But you could rent a nearly identical place for $3,000. Without $1,000 difference, that is not money you're throwing away. No way. That is your weapon. That's capital. That's money you can put to work to actually build your wealth. And this brings us to the next big point. The fundamental math has changed. We are all caught in what I call the 8x salary trap. All the old rules of thumb, all the advice our parents gave us, it just doesn't work anymore. What was a totally reasonable financial goal for them has become a crushing, impossible weight for us. We're basically trying to play a 1990s game in a 2026 economy. Back then, it was pretty standard for a house to cost about 3 times your annual salary. Manageable. Today, the median home is closer to 8 times the median salary. This is not a personal failure on your part. It's a fundamental restructuring of the entire economy. So let me just ask you a direct question. If I handed you $100,000 in cash right now, would you choose to lock it up inside an asset that is guaranteed to cost you more money every single month? Or would you put it to work in the market where it can actually grow and eventually pay you? Okay, now let's talk about what I call your invisible invoice. These are those relentless costs of owning a home that you never get back. They act just like a form of rent that you can never, ever stop paying. And in some places, these costs have gotten so insane that they're actually more than what a family spends on essential things like food. I want you to just think about this one number for a second. 26. That is the number of consecutive quarters that homeowners insurance rates have gone up. That's 6.5 straight years of nonstop increases. This isn't a blip, you guys. This is a permanent upward trend. And that relentless trend leads to reality that is just shocking. In certain parts of the country, it's now a fact that people are paying more to insure their house than they are paying for groceries. Let that sink in for a moment. That is a massive flashing red light that the entire financial model of homeownership is completely broken. So let's just give this a name. Let's call it forever rent. Because think about it, your mortgage has an end date. In 30 years, you could, in theory, pay it off. But property taxes and insurance, they never get paid off. They are with you for as long as you own that house. And the only direction they ever go is up the 1% maintenance tax. This is the unavoidable annual price you pay for entropy, for the simple fact that things fall apart. And when a big ticket item like a roof or an HVAC system fails, it doesn't just drain your emergency fund. It can literally vaporize the equity you thought you were so carefully building. The 1% rule is a really simple but super powerful way to think about this. You have to budget at a bare minimum 1% of your home's value for maintenance every single year. So if you're in a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 a year you need to have ready. And that's not for fun stuff, not for upgrades. That's just to keep the thing from crumbling around you. And this is the part that spreadsheets and financial plans never seem to capture, the pure stress of surprise costs. Because your water heater, it doesn't give a rip about your 5-year plan or your paper equity. It only cares about breaking spectacularly on the absolute coldest day of the year. Okay, enough with the problems. Let's talk about the solution. This is what we'll call the renter's wealth strategy. It's a new path to get to the real dream, which isn't a 30-year mortgage breathing down your neck. It's buying a house free and clear with cash. Here is the 4-step plan. It's incredibly simple. First, you figure out that gap, the real all-in monthly savings between renting and owning. Second, and this is the most important part, you treat that gap like a mandatory bill. You pay your wealth bill first, no exceptions. Third, you consistently invest that money into a growth portfolio, like a simple, low-cost index fund. And finally, you just let it cook. You let compound interest work its magic. Your portfolio grows and grows, building a nest egg big enough to one day buy your home outright, while everyone else is still stuck being a tenant of the bank. In the economy of 2026, is the traditional version of the American dream really the asset we've all been told it is? Or has blindly chasing it under a completely new set of rules actually become your single biggest financial? Just think about that for a second. It completely flips the script on its head, right? When you pay a rent, that's it. Your housing bill for the month is done. Capped. Finished. But with a mortgage, that payment is just the starting line. It's the bare minimum before a whole bunch of other costs come flooding in. This one single idea, it's the key to understanding everything we're about to talk about. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the real cost of owning. Then we'll get into something the source material calls the opportunity cost heist. After that, we'll talk about the house poor trap, lay out a super clear solution called the 3-30-30 system, and wrap it all up by rethinking the entire goal as buying your freedom first. Okay, let's get right into it with the hard numbers. And look, this isn't about the warm, fuzzy feelings or the pride of ownership. Nope. This is about pure, cold, hard cash flow. What is actually leaving your bank account every single month. Now, take a look at this. This is where it gets really eye-opening. See that bar on the left? Based on the 2026 data, we've got a median rent of about $1,800. It's simple, it's predictable. But then look at the right. The true cost of owning that exact same property, it's not just your mortgage. Oh no, you've got to add in property taxes, homeowners insurance, and the one everybody forgets, maintenance and repairs. And all of a sudden, you are easily looking at over $4,000 a month. The gap is just massive. So that difference right there, $2,200 every single month. This isn't just some leftover cash. Source material calls it your freedom buffer. And I love that. Think of it as your monthly budget for having options in your life. Money you can use to invest, to travel, to switch careers, or just to handle a surprise emergency. When you buy a house you can't really afford, that buffer, it just disappears. And this right here just perfectly sums up the hidden workload of owning a home. It's not just about the money, it's about the responsibility. When the water heater explodes at 2 a.m, a renter just sends a text. An owner has to frantically find a plumber, pay a crazy bill, and then deal with all the damage. You literally inherit a part-time job you never even applied for. All right, let's keep going, because this next part is where things get kind of sinister, actually. This is the piece of the puzzle that silently destroys your financial future. We're talking about the huge and often totally invisible opportunity cost of that big down payment. Okay, so picture this. You've saved up $100,000 for a down payment. Awesome, right? Now, if you sink that money into a house, it becomes what they call dead capital. I mean, sure, you're building equity, but that money is locked up, it's illiquid, and frankly, its growth rate is pretty slow. But what if you rented instead? And what if you invested that same $100,000 into a simple S&P 500 index fund? Well, then it becomes active capital, out there working for you 24/7. And this is the number that should really stop you in your tracks. If we assume a pretty standard historical return of about 10%, that $100,000 investment, it could grow to over $670,000 in just 20 years. That gap was already more than $500,000. That is the true opportunity cost of tying up your money in a house. It's just a staggering amount of money to leave on the table. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. This isn't some small financial trade-off we're talking about. By buying a house too early or by stretching yourself too thin, you are making a decision that could literally cost you over $500,000 in your future wealth. That is the real price tag of that down payment. Okay, we've talked about the insane numbers, but what does this actually feel like in your day-to-day life? Because beyond the balance sheet, there's a huge impact on your lifestyle. And that brings us to this all too common trap of being house poor. The source material just nails this definition. Being house poor is this crazy irony where you have this beautiful, expensive kitchen, but you can't really afford to buy nice groceries to cook in it. Or even worse, it becomes these golden handcuffs. You can't quit that soul-crushing job you hate. You can't take a risk on a new business idea because you have to make that massive mortgage payment every single month just to keep the bank happy. You've literally traded your freedom for four walls. All right, I want you to stop for a second. Seriously, a quick reality check. You can even open up your banking app if you need to. Do you have at least $10,000 in liquid cash sitting there right now? If the answer to that question is no, the source material is crystal clear. You should probably stop scrolling through Zillow. You're not ready for the financial shock of owning a home. You're ready to build up an emergency fund. Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, so when is it okay to buy a house? Well, the good news is it's not just a guessing game. There's actually a simple, really powerful formula for this, which the source calls the 3-30-30 buying system. It's a really simple three-part checklist. These are the non-negotiables. First, the total price of the house has to be less than 3 times your gross annual income. Second, you need 30%, 30 of the home's price saved up in cash. That covers your down payment, all the closing costs, and leaves you with a healthy emergency buffer. And third, your total monthly housing payment has to be less than 30% of your gross monthly income. And look, if you run the numbers and you can't check all 3 of those boxes, the answer is simple. It's not the right time. It's not a personal failure. It's the market itself sending you a really clear signal. And in that situation, renting isn't giving up. It's actually the smartest, most strategic move you can make to protect your capital and just wait for a better shot. And that really brings us to the biggest idea of all, the whole point of this strategy. This isn't about being anti-homeownership. Not at all. It's about completely redefining the goal. It's about making your freedom the #1 priority before you prioritize owning a big asset. This right here is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Real wealth isn't measured by the square footage you own. It's measured by your autonomy. It's the freedom to choose your work, to choose where you live, to choose your lifestyle without being chained to a massive financial weight. It's the peace of mind you get from having real financial security. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Remember that $2,200 a month ownership gap we talked about? What do you do with it? You use it to buy your freedom piece by piece. You max out your retirement accounts. You build up a 6-month emergency fund. You invest in yourself, maybe a new skill or a business idea. You build that foundation of financial independence first so that when you do eventually buy a house, it serves you and not the other way around. So I'll just leave you with this one last question to chew on. In today's market, is that sold sign on the front lawn really a symbol of achievement and stability? Or has it become an anchor, weighing down your finances, your career, and your future freedom? The answer, for a whole lot of people in 2026, is becoming surprisingly clear.